Welcome, dear listeners, to this very special, in-depth journey into the hidden forces that shape our lives every single day. Today, we are diving deep into the astonishing science of habits, inspired by Charles Duhigg's groundbreaking book, The Power of Habit. Now, I want you to imagine this episode as a long, friendly conversation. We're not rushing. We are exploring every twist, every discovery, and every story that reveals the true power of habits, the ones that control your mornings, your work, your health, and yes, even your relationships. So let's begin right at the heart of it, the mysterious force that governs almost 45% of our daily behaviors. The habits we don't notice, the routines we perform on autopilot, the automatic choices our brain makes without conscious thought. Have you ever paused in your day and thought, wait, did I even choose to do this? Maybe you grabbed coffee before brushing your teeth. Maybe you scrolled social media for 10 minutes without even realizing it. Or perhaps you drove somewhere and arrived without remembering the journey. That, my friend, is the power of habits. Invisible, automatic, yet incredibly influential. Charles Duhigg tells us that habits are not destiny. They are powerful, yes, but they are learnable, modifiable, and ultimately controllable. And here's the fascinating part. Understanding habits doesn't just help you stop bad routines. It's the key to unlocking success, productivity, and even transformation in your personal life, your workplace, and society at large. Let's begin with a story, because stories make science real. Meet Eugene. He suffered severe brain damage and lost much of his memory. Imagine meeting someone who can't remember anything new, yet can navigate their own home, cook a meal, and even walk around the neighborhood safely. How is that possible? Eugene's case demonstrates a profound truth. Habits are stored in a part of the brain called the basal ganglia, separate from memory that recalls facts or events. Even when the conscious mind fails, habits remain intact. His feet knew the kitchen better than his mind did. This example is striking. Habits are not just trivial routines. They are deep programs embedded in our brain architecture. And understanding these programs is the first step to mastering them. Duhigg introduces a simple yet revolutionary framework called the habit loop. Every habit, no matter how small or complex, follows this loop. The trigger that tells your brain to start the habit. Routine, the behavior itself, physical or mental. Reward, the benefit or payoff that reinforces the habit. Let's make this concrete. Imagine you feel stressed after a long workday. You reach for a sugary snack. You feel immediate comfort or relief. Over time, your brain links stress with sugar, and the habit strengthens. Here's the twist. Once you can identify these three components, you can begin to redesign any habit. That's the power to take control rather than be controlled. Here's something many people overlook. Habits don't only live inside our heads, they live inside organizations too. Companies, hospitals, schools. They all operate on habit loops, consciously or unconsciously. Consider Target, the retail giant. They used buying patterns to predict major life events of their customers, like pregnancy, with astonishing accuracy. This is habit science applied on a massive scale. Or take Alcoa, the aluminum company. When CEO Paul O'Neill focused on worker safety, a seemingly small routine, it became a keystone habit that transformed the company's culture, communication, efficiency, and ultimately, profits. This teaches us that habits aren't trivial. They are the invisible architecture of society and business. Some habits are more powerful than others. Duhigg calls these keystone habits. They are like small stones in an archway. Remove the right one, and the entire structure changes. Exercise is a classic example. Start exercising regularly, and soon you may find yourself eating better, sleeping more, working more efficiently, and even having stronger willpower. Why? Because exercise changes identity. I am someone who takes care of myself. That identity cascades into other areas. Even making your bed every morning can set the tone for a disciplined, organized day. The smallest habits often lead to the largest transformations if chosen wisely. Changing habits isn't easy. Willpower can get fatigued. Old routines die hard. And here is where belief comes into play. Take Alcoholics Anonymous as an example. The system works not just because of routine change, but because participants develop a belief. Belief in a higher power, belief in the group, belief in their own ability to change. This belief sustains them when willpower alone would fail. Crisis also accelerates habit change. When individuals or organizations face existential challenges, old routines are disrupted, and new habits can take hold. Stressful times can become windows of opportunity for transformation. Another essential concept is cravings. Habits are driven not just by routine, but by anticipation of reward. Our brains crave outcomes, relief, excitement, pleasure. Think of Pavlov's dogs. They didn't just hear the bell. They craved the food it predicted. Similarly, your brain doesn't just reach for sugar, social media, or a cigarette. It craves the comfort, energy, or dopamine associated with them. To change a habit, you must satisfy the same craving with a healthier routine. If your craving is social connection, quitting social media isn't enough. You need a real-world alternative for that connection. The beauty of Duhigg's framework is that it starts small. Identify one habit, map its loop, experiment with new routines, and strengthen your willpower gradually. Over time, these small changes ripple across your life. You don't need to transform everything at once. Keystone habits, repeated consciously, create momentum. Belief and support amplify the effect. Cravings guide intelligent substitution. And consistent practice makes the new habits automatic. And here we pause for a moment. Take a breath. Imagine your daily routines. The coffee, the commute, the scrolling, the work patterns. Can you see the cues, the routines, the rewards? Now imagine that one small habit change could ripple across your entire day, your entire life. That's the hidden power waiting to be unlocked. Now, let's take it further. Let's dive into the practical side, how you can harness these insights to redesign your life, influence those around you, and transform even organizations. So, how do we actually take control of our habits? Duhigg doesn't just present the problem. He gives us a roadmap for action. Let's break it down into concrete steps. The first step is to clearly identify the habit you want to change or create. Specificity is key. Don't say, "I want to be healthier." Say, "I want to stop eating chocolate every evening." Write it down. Think about when it happens, where it happens, and what emotions surround it. Awareness is the foundation of change. Next, uncover the craving behind your habit. Ask yourself, why do I perform this routine? What am I really seeking? Is it comfort, energy, stress relief? For example, if you habitually scroll social media after dinner, try different activities: reading a book, taking a walk, or calling a friend. Pay attention to how you feel after each. Eventually, you'll isolate the true reward, the craving that drives your behavior. This is the secret to intelligent substitution. Isolate the cue. What triggers your habit? Duhigg identifies 5 common types of cues. Location, where you are. Time, what time of day it is. Emotional state, how you feel. Other people, who you are with. Immediate preceding action, what you just did. Keep a small journal for a few days and log every instance of your habit. Patterns will emerge, revealing the cues. Knowledge of the cue gives you the power to intervene. Plan your new routine. Now comes the golden rule in action. Keep the same cue and reward, but replace the routine. For example, cue, stress after work. Old routine, eat a chocolate bar. New routine, go for a 10-minute walk. Reward, feel relief and calm. Write down your plan. Visualize it, make it concrete. When happens, I will new routine to get reward. Finally, sustain your change by believing it is possible. Surround yourself with a supportive community, mentor, or friend who reinforces your new habits. Celebrate small wins. Over time, your confidence grows, and the new habit becomes second nature. Let's look at a fascinating example from Duhigg's research: Starbucks employees. Starbucks doesn't just sell coffee. They train employees to build willpower through routines. Employees learn scripts for handling difficult customers, exercises to manage stress, and structured decision-making for daily challenges. These routines are habits that foster self-control, helping employees succeed in high-pressure situations. The lesson is clear: willpower itself is a skill that can be cultivated. Just like lifting weights strengthens muscles, practicing small habits of discipline strengthens your self-control, which then spills over into other areas of life. We've already mentioned Alcoa and safety. Let's look at Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. His keystone habit was his rigorous practice schedule and visualization techniques. These routines didn't just improve his swimming, they instilled discipline, focus, and resilience that carried over into nutrition, sleep, and even mental preparation for competitions. Similarly, companies like Procter & Gamble focus on keystone habits to drive innovation. Small processes, repeated consistently, trigger larger organizational shifts. One routine can create a cascade of improvements throughout an entire company. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes crises create openings for transformation. When companies face threats, bankruptcy, competition, or scandal, old routines are disrupted. People are forced to think differently. Duhigg tells the story of Febreze, the air freshener product. Initially, it failed in the market because people didn't have the habit of using it. The company realized that they needed to pair the product with a reward people actually craved. Instead of focusing on the smell, they emphasized the satisfaction of a clean home. By identifying the craving and reshaping the routine, Febreze became a massive success. Similarly, in personal life, crises, like health scares or financial challenges, create urgency that can accelerate habit change. The old routines no longer serve, and the brain becomes open to new, adaptive patterns. Changing destructive habits requires both strategy and persistence. Let's break down practical methods. Understand the loop. Identify cue, routine, reward. Experiment with alternatives. Find routines that satisfy the same craving. Leverage keystone habits. Build habits that create positive ripple effects. Focus on small wins. Celebrate every small success to reinforce belief. Be patient and persistent. Change takes time. Repetition is key. Duhigg emphasizes that no matter how entrenched a habit is, it can be transformed by intelligent substitution. One of the most profound insights in the book is the connection between habits and identity. We become the sum of our routines. Every time you repeat a behavior, you signal to your brain, "This is who I am." Want to become a writer? Write daily, even 10 minutes. Want to become healthier? Exercise. Choose a vegetable over junk food. Make it a daily ritual. Over time, the habit shapes identity. The brain internalizes it. I am a person who writes. I am a person who exercises. Even in our relationships, habits play a crucial role. Couples who establish positive communication routines, like checking in daily, expressing gratitude, or resolving conflicts calmly, create habits that strengthen their bond. Similarly, families develop habits around mealtimes, chores, and shared activities. These routines create a rhythm, a structure that fosters connection, stability, and trust. As we near the end of this journey, consider this. Habits are neither inherently good nor bad. They are tools. They can build your life or sabotage it. The difference lies in awareness and intentionality. The moral is simple. You are not a victim of your routines. You can study them, understand them, and redesign them. Every cue is an opportunity. Every reward is a guide. And every routine is a lever for change. Remember, the habits you build will ultimately build you. You are the architect of your life. Today's routines, repeated tomorrow, shape the person you will become. And the power to change, to grow, to transform, that power lies in your hands. Now, in this final part, we'll bring it all together. We'll deepen the stories, explore even more real-life examples, and leave you with actionable insights and motivation to transform your life, one habit at a time. Let's start with a story. Imagine a young Starbucks barista named Maya. She started her job feeling overwhelmed, constantly stressed by rude customers, long lines, and a chaotic schedule. Her default reaction? Anxiety, frustration, sometimes even snapping at coworkers. But then, Starbucks trained her in routines designed to strengthen self-control and resilience. Every time a customer was rude, Maya learned to follow a script that focused on calm responses, deep breathing, and empathetic engagement, and she would notice satisfaction in resolving the situation peacefully. Over months, Maya's habits shifted. She wasn't just surviving her job, she was thriving. She began managing stress in personal life, exercising patience with friends, and even planning ahead in her finances. A single set of workplace routines had rippled outward, transforming her identity and overall life quality. This is habit mastery in action. Small, repeated routines, carefully designed, have exponential effects. Duhigg emphasizes that willpower is like a muscle. It can fatigue, but it can also strengthen. Imagine waking up in the morning and deciding to skip sugar for breakfast. The first day is tough. The second day requires conscious effort. By the third week, it starts to feel natural. Research shows that people who practice self-control in one area often see improvement in others. Controlling spending, managing diet, or sticking to exercise routines increases overall self-discipline. Habit loops train the brain. Repetition builds neural pathways. Every small win strengthens willpower, making bigger challenges more manageable effects. Habits are not just personal, they're social. Duhigg examines the civil rights movement in the 1960s. The success of the movement relied on shared habits of organizing, demonstrating, and communicating. Small, repeatable actions like meeting weekly, practicing nonviolent protest techniques, and calling supporters created routines that built trust, solidarity, and momentum. These shared habits became the invisible engine of massive social change. It's proof that habits multiplied across communities can reshape society. One person's routine can ignite collective transformation. Now let's get deeper into practical applications. How can you take everything we've discussed and implement it effectively? Start with Keystone habits. Identify 1 or 2 Keystone habits. Exercise, meditation, journaling, or reading daily. Focus on them consistently. They will generate positive ripple effects in other areas of life. Use habit stacking. Stack new habits onto existing ones. For example, after brushing your teeth, write down one thing you're grateful for. Link the new habit to a strong existing cue. Track progress religiously. Keep a habit journal or use an app. Seeing streaks and progress reinforces identity and belief. Leverage community support. Engage friends, colleagues, or online groups who support the habits you want to build. Social reinforcement makes habit formation easier and more sustainable. Plan for obstacles. Anticipate disruptions, travel, holidays, stress, and have fallback routines ready. Consistency is key, but flexibility ensures sustainability. Visualize identity shifts. Rather than focusing solely on behavior, visualize yourself as the person you want to become. This reinforces the brain's reward system and makes habits stick longer. Duhigg shares the Febreze story as a lesson in understanding reward. Initially, Febreze failed because people didn't feel a direct reward. Simply spraying air freshener didn't satisfy a craving. The marketing team discovered that the true craving wasn't freshness. It was the satisfaction of a clean home. They adjusted the routine. Use Febreze after cleaning to experience immediate gratification of a noticeably fresher environment. Sales skyrocketed. The insight? Changing habits is rarely about brute force. It's about aligning routines with underlying cravings. Once you satisfy the brain's desire, habits follow naturally. Habits shape relationships too. Couples can establish positive routines, nightly check-ins, expressing appreciation, or shared hobbies. Families benefit from structured routines, like shared meals or weekend projects. Small daily behaviors, repeated consistently, build trust, affection, and stability. Habits, in this sense, are invisible glue. They hold relationships together, sometimes more than words or intentions alone. Remember, every habit is a conversation between your brain and your desires. The cue whispers, "It's time." The routine acts. The reward confirms, "Yes, this works." The key is awareness. By tracking cues, experimenting with routines, and observing rewards, you learn the brain's secret language. Once fluent, you can rewrite scripts for yourself, shaping a life of intentional habits. Pause for a moment. Consider your day, from morning rituals to evening wind down. Which habits lift you up? Which subtly sabotage your goals? The answer reveals your invisible architecture. Habits are neither good nor bad. They are tools. Understanding them grants agency. Designing them intentionally creates freedom. Imagine a person. Let's call him John. John was chronically late, stressed, and unorganized. By applying Duhigg's strategies, he began with one keystone habit: making his bed each morning. This small act instilled discipline. Next, he added a morning run, linked to feeling energized. Then, he tracked spending habits, replaced sugary snacks with fruits, and instituted weekly planning sessions. Slowly, his life transformed. Work efficiency improved. Stress decreased. Relationships strengthened. And he gained confidence. John's story illustrates a profound truth. Transformation doesn't require radical overnight change. It requires consistent, deliberate reshaping of the loops that govern daily life. Here's what you can do immediately. Identify one habit to change or create. Map the cue, routine, and reward. Experiment with new routines to satisfy the same craving. Focus on a keystone habit that will ripple positively across your life. Build belief, trust in your ability to change, and seek support from others. Repeat daily, track progress, and celebrate small wins. Remember, habits are the architecture of your life. The future you desire is quietly waiting inside the loops you create today. Small, intentional steps compound into extraordinary outcomes. As Charles Duhigg teaches us, the power to change resides within your habits. They are not destiny, they are levers. With awareness, experimentation, belief, and perseverance, you can shape your identity, influence your relationships, transform your work, and even impact the world around you. Your routines are your canvas. Each day, each action, each choice is a brushstroke. Paint consciously, build intentionally, and watch as your life becomes a masterpiece of deliberate habits. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the power of habit. Observe your cues, experiment with routines, satisfy your cravings wisely, and start building the life you've always imagined, one habit at a time. Until next time, keep designing your life intentionally and passionately.